I'm good. I'm good. How about you?
I am also good. A day after that decision by the court, I'm wondering what is still going through your mind. How are you still feeling about the decision of the court yesterday?
Well, good morning to all the distinguished listeners of Radio Gold. Certainly, it's a good feeling, and I have always been confident that we will be vindicated. Once you are on the path of truth, you have nothing to fear, because the truth will always set you free. It is those who have a lot to hide, those who sought to use the judiciary as, if you like, a gagging vehicle to prevent us from putting out the truth. They had to worry. But for those of us who knew that we were simply pursuing truth, carrying out our mandate as members of parliament, we are to conduct oversight. We are to look into matters. We are to do due diligence. We are to ensure we protect the public purse. There is nothing I have done in this whole National Cathedral brouhaha which is out of my mandate as a member of parliament. So we had nothing to fear at all. And I would like to use this opportunity to convey heartfelt appreciation, very, very deep gratitude to the good people of Ghana, to my party leadership, the National Democratic Congress. They were always with me in court, led by the General Secretary, the Honorable Fifi Fiavikwete, the NDC MPs caucus. They were always with me. My family, my good friends, my constituents, my beloved chiefs and people of North Town. And I also would like to thank you in the media, Radio Gold. You've been very supportive. You have always given me the platform to further expatiate and throw more light and clarify issues that have emerged from the work we have been doing. I would also want to commend my fantastic legal team. They have been amazing. If you listen to the judgment yesterday, the judge virtually upheld all the points of law that my legal team put forth. The issues about constitutionality, the issues about irregularities associated with that whole attempt at virtually entrapping me, because there was no service. The hoodlums who were used were not court officials, they were not bailies. My legal team conducted a search at the registry of the courts and discovered that those characters are not known to the judicial service, and they had violated the Chief Justice's directive that only court bailies should be used to serve originating orders, processes from the courts. So it's been a spectacular performance by the legal team. But at the end of the day, this is really a victory for the Ghanaian people. It's a victory that I would like to dedicate to all Ghanaians, because it is the collective thirst and hunger for truth, for transparency, for accountability that has brought us to this point. So it's really a victory for the Ghanaian people.
And I'm guessing, knowing that, because you said it came across as entrapment, that they were actually setting you up for something of this nature. And I'm guessing you must be learning a few things from how to approach things like this moving forward.
Oh, definitely. We all learn lessons. And if you have observed, I normally like to be alone, like to just drive myself. I don't really like security and all of that. But it's a lesson, because I just stepped out of Metro TV and I was ambushed by these guys. I they are. They won't tell me who they are. They won't tell me where they are coming from. They just said, we have documents for you. I told them, look, I'm driving myself. I don't know what it is. What if it's, some dangerous item, some chemical, or, I must know where you're coming. Introduce yourself. Let me know what document it is. And they just threw it at me. And I felt so disrespected. I lost my cool, and I had to just kick it out of my way. But well, lessons learned. I guess if I had probably someone by my side, probably things would have been better. The way they threw those documents at me, probably somebody could have warded them off, and then I would just have driven away. So we are going to learn lessons and review our movements, review our security, and all of that. Particularly seeing the characters that we are dealing with, the revelations that I imagine. I'm clear now that a lot of the characters involved in this National Cathedral project are engaged in what you call organized crime. By the time I'm done with the latest exposés from the United States of America, you will be clear in your mind that we are dealing with organized criminals. So, based on what I now know, it's clear to me that I need to improve my security. And it's one of the key lessons from this whole episode. But I must emphasize that I've always believed that the greatest security is really the people and the truth. Once you pursue the truth and once you are aligned with the people, anytime there is an alarm, the people will come to your aid. So I'm not one to be intimidated or to harbor any fears at all about the, if you like, the depth to which these characters will go just to conceal the truth, to engage in crime, and to continue to perpetrate all their atrocities really against the Ghanaian people.
And have you gotten your 10,000 yet?
Not yet. But that's that I don't do these things for the money. It's not about the money, and I don't think that it's money that I would even be interested in. I'm sure when the lawyers communicate that the money is ready, we'll definitely give it out to charity. The focus really is to protect the public purse, is to make sure that all of this desecration of the name of God, people hiding behind, they are building a temple for God, and just engage in plain thievery, plain crime, illegalities of the most offensive kind. They have to be exposed. There ought to be sanctions. People must be brought to book. That is the focus, and we are going to make sure we stay the course.
And of course, we'll be talking about the latest updates on what you've put out on your Facebook page. But before we do that, I wanted to understand. I understand that the real case is still on.
Yes. So let's be clear. Kwabena Adu Gyamfi, because he says that is his name now. He went to court as Kwabena Adu Gyamfi. And he also sometimes uses Rev Kusi Boateng, but he really went to court as Kwabena Adu Gyamfi. It is important for listeners to acknowledge or appreciate that he has brought 3 processes to the court. So the first one, which is a defamation suit, is still pending. We are now going to go into the substantive matter. Then there's the second one, which was the injunction, you'll recall. Initially, he secured a 10-day injunction that I should stop publishing stuff on him. I should not proceed with the revelations about his dual identity, or the 2 mothers, 2 teens, 2 names, the 2 dates of death. He said he had had enough of the exposés, and to our shock, the court granted him a 10-day injunction. Now, in that process, he's also seeking to secure some perpetual injunction of a sort, so that I would stay away from exposing these things about him permanently. So that case is also going on. I think he's coming under a human rights jurisdiction, if you like, where he's saying that his human rights, right to privacy, are being violated. I really don't know whose privacy, whether it's Kwabena Adu Gyamfi's privacy or is Victor Kusi Boateng's privacy. But so that's the second case. So the third case is this contempt proceedings, which he commenced, seeking to have me jailed for what he said was conduct that brings the delivery of justice into disrepute. And that is what has been dismissed. I've been acquitted and discharged. There is therefore no question to answer so far as that contempt application is concerned. The judge has ruled very convincingly that what they engaged in was unconstitutional. It was irregular. They engaged in very bad conduct. They did not have bailiffs serve that process, and that they had not respected the Chief Justice's directive, and most importantly, the constitutional provisions about how members of Parliament should be served, and then cost awarded against them. So that one is out of the way. So those 2 other cases, we are ready. I think we'll go back to court on the 5th of June for the defamation case. I can assure you, Sena, that I am really ready to go the full hog. I know that at the end of the day, we will be vindicated. He is going to regret that he had the audacity, the effrontery, to rather be the one taking us to court. It's only in this country where, people like him will be the ones to rush to court. But no problem. We will go through the process. He wants to waste our time. He wants to gag us. He wants to stampede our work as members of Parliament. But we are ready for him, and we will not be intimidated at all. Elsewhere, if really the law works in this country and the system works, he should be prosecuted. He should have been prosecuted long ago. He should not be walking freely and rather seeking to jail a member of Parliament, seeking to gag MPs, stop MPs from carrying out their constitutional mandate. I mean, can you believe that? The sheer effrontery, But that's the country we live in, where if you have good proximity, if you are a friend to the Vice President, a friend to the IGP, you invite them to your birthday parties, you become immune, more or less. You can get away with murder, literally. So that's the kind of system we have. I pray for the day that it wouldn't matter who you are, it wouldn't matter whose party is in power, who your friends are. the advanced societies that are ahead of us, who we admire, who we aspire to become like, it is because they don't entertain. Because this shows how petty even those in leadership are. It shows how lost they are, and how pathetic they are. Because this is a character who should have long been arrested. As we speak, civil society organizations like ASEPA have petitioned the police EID that this character should be investigated, not even an invitation. They have treated civil society with contempt. He is going around, continuing with his nefarious activities, criminality, which has been proven. There is no doubt. I mean, all the right to information responses that I have received from the GRA, the Ghana Revenue Authority, have confirmed all the findings, the double murders, the double dates of death, the double names, a clear scheme to have a dual personality. So today, if I feel like being Kwabena Adu Gyamfi, that's who I am. Tomorrow, if I want to be Reverend Kusi Boateng, I have a total identity. I mean, who does that? So all of the processes to have a Ghana card, a unique identification system, a clean society where we can identify people and we can fight crime, we can make sure everybody is safe, there's stability, there's security. I mean, this matter renders all of that effort useless. And it is most shocking that as we speak, after many months of these exposés, the character is a free man. He's all over the place. He doesn't even come to court himself. And yet, he is the one who wants a member of parliament stopped from carrying out his mandate.
He wasn't in court yesterday.
Parliament jailed. No, he's never come to court himself.
The person who filed the case,
yes,
has never turned up in court.
Never. He's never showed up in court. Not once. Can you believe that? Not once. He must really feel that the country belongs to him. He's above the law. He can do whatever he wants. He can gag anybody. But he clearly doesn't know who he's dealing with. So no problem at all. We will see how things will pan out and where we will end. It's really the end that matters. It's not all of these machinations, this abuse of the judicial process, all of these legal gymnastics, seeking to intimidate, seeking to gag. This is really wasting his time. What he's doing is rather strengthening my resolve to go all out and to expose the canker, expose the decay, the whole modus operandi. And so I can only thank them because they have really spurred me on. And I'm going to go all out to make sure that all their machinations are exposed for what they are.
Well, in the meantime, on this issue, you are also exploring other angles. You've gone all the way to Washington, D.C. to do some checks on some of the addresses that have been provided for you. You check that of a consultant and even the person who is actually the administrator of the project. Tell us, what have you been finding?
So you are right that I have just returned from the United States of America, where I carried out a special operation. I went undercover to really look into the modus operandi of the National Cathedral of Ghana operatives. when you go on the National Cathedral of Ghana website, they boldly advertise that they have operations in America, that they have a consultant for the United States of America. His name is Carrie Summers, and they put out an address, which is their office in Washington, D.C., so that if you want to donate, if you want to engage them, if you want to meet them, that is the office that you can go to. So I decided to go look into their U.S. operations, especially when so much money has gone into their U.S. operations. Remember that this man who has been presented on their website, Carrie Summers, he has received $6 million of our money. $6 million. You can convert that today. $6 million today is more than 70 million Ghana cedis. Imagine what that money can do. All the noise they made about Woyome's money. Woyome was what, 51 million Ghana cedis? We are talking about over 70 million cedis to Carrie Summers. So a lot of our money is going into these American operations. So I thought that it is only proper that, having exposed their domestic modus operandi, I should also pursue their external modus operandi. Try to know exactly what they are doing in America, especially as they have not covered themselves in glory in Ghana. What they have done in Ghana has been disgraceful, totally shambolic, to say the least. So if these same elements are going to operate offshore in another country, the likelihood that they are going there with the same attitude, same mindset, same modus operandi is high. Even though in that country you have, if you like, more, oversight, tighter security and all of that. But we are dealing with people who you just cannot trust. So I decided that I will have to really go and look into those American operations. So the first thing I did was to go to the office address that has been advertised on the National Cathedral of Ghana website as their headquarters in America, where they carry out their American operations in Washington, D.C. When I went to that property, 1090 Vermont Avenue in Washington, D.C., it was most shocking to be told by the operators of the facility, the managers of the facility. They didn't mince words at all. They stated clearly that, Honorable MP, this address and this website you are showing us, this office you are talking about, the National Cathedral of Ghana office, we don't know them, and there is no National Cathedral of Ghana secretariat here in this building. And when they saw the address, how they had advertised on their website, that's the National Cathedral of Ghana website, they noticed that what they are doing is clearly fraudulent, because they only give you the address of the building. They do not tell you which office, which floor, which suite number, because according to the managers of this property, it's a 12-story building where they have suite numbers. So everybody, if you are a legal tenant, you are using the place, you have your own unique office number. But with the address that has been advertised, it is only the building. That is the first major observation that you need to keep in mind, that that address, the Washington, D.C. address, is a fraudulent location. They are not resident there. They have no office there. There's no footprint. So what they have put out on the website of the National Cathedral of Ghana is just fraudulent.
In fact, I'm looking at the website currently as we speak.
Yeah.
And it has USA Consultants.
Yes.
National Cathedral of Ghana and Bible Museum Foundation, INC 1090 Vermont, AVENW, Washington, D.C. 20005. Yes. You are saying that you've been to that address.
I've been to that address.
There's no National Cathedral of Ghana and Bible Museum Foundation office?
No.
Or consultant office there?
No.
What about, because if you look at the page, they have consultant for the United States. They have Carrie Summers.
Yes, I'll come to Carrie Summers. Okay. That is another matter. The first one is the office where they said they operate from. Now we know that they don't have any address there. They don't have any office there. It's fraud. So that has been established. Now let's go to Carrie Summers. Now Carrie Summers, you see his name on the website. We are told that he is the consultant for the United States of America, isn't it? You see that on the website?
Yes.
Right,
yes.
Sena?
Yes, I see
consultant for the United States of America.
Yes, now, Carrie Summers, yes.
Yes. Now, Carrie Summers has been paid $6 million. Now, when you click on Carrie Summers' profile on the website, we are told that he is the president and CEO of the Nehemiah Group. President and CEO of the Nehemiah Group. And then his address is provided, the address of the Nehemiah Group, which is a Springfield, Missouri address, Scenic Avenue, Springfield, Missouri. So I decided to do the long journey to go all the way to Springfield, Missouri. To my shock, Sena, when I arrived, there was no sighting of the Nehemiah Group. What I saw was a dilapidated warehouse, quite a ramshackled facility. A warehouse with a very old inscription rusting away, which says that Churchill Coffee Company, Wholesale Division. So that warehouse, what they do there is to sell coffee. It has nothing to do with the Nehemiah Group. So I decided to take pictures, so my international partners were well positioned so that we can take pictures and gather enough evidence about the location, look at the mail boxes, take all the coordinates and all of that. Because we know the people we are dealing with. If you don't gather enough evidence, they'll say, oh, you haven't been there. We know the Nehemiah Group. Well, we don't know what you're talking about and all of that. So we gathered enough evidence. Whilst we were gathering the evidence, Carrie Summers himself steps out of the building. And that is how come we were able to capture him. You notice that in some of the pictures that I have put out, you see Carrie Summers. And you pay attention to the picture. It's the same guy who's advertised on the website of the National Cathedral. So Carrie Summers has been captured in the pictures that we have put out. And this is the man who has been given $6 million. The question is, what due diligence did the Ghanaian government officials, the National Cathedral Board of Trustees, what due diligence did they do? How on earth did Carrie Summers come to get $6 million of our money? What this man told Ghana, told the National Cathedral Secretariat he could do was that he could raise funds for them. When he raised funds for you, you give him a commission. However, some way, somehow, somebody decided that this man should rather be giving money upfront. So he didn't raise funds. He has not raised a dime for Ghana. And when I look at how his warehouse is looking, I wish I could even raise funds for him. I don't see this man as somebody who can raise funds for us. He rather needs a lot of fundraising. Now, somebody at the Cathedral Secretariat decides to give this man $6 million, over 70 million Ghana cedis of our money. That is how much this man has been giving for no work done. And the address, what he told us, what has been advertised on the National Cathedral Secretariat, and what he himself has told U.S. authorities that he is doing, the Hemia Group, this address at Missouri, that is not what is happening there. Now, you need to also bear in mind that there are 5 other major discoveries. So, in all, there are 7. The part 1 of the expose has put out 7 major discoveries. Don't forget that this is a 5-part series. So, part 1 is just the beginning. Tomorrow I'll put out part 2, and then we'll continue next week. Now, the 7 major discoveries, we have discussed 2. So the first one is the address at Washington, D.C., National Cathedral of Ghana address. It's a sham, a total fabrication. They don't have an office there. Then number 2, Carrie Summers' address is also fake, very fraudulent. He's rather operating from a warehouse. He sells coffee. It brings memory of the CNTCI hairdressing salon loan. You know, that's clearly, you know, a reenactment.
So the 3119 is Scenic Avenue Suite A, Springfield, MO 65807. Are you saying it's a warehouse or a coffee shop?
It's a warehouse where they sell coffee. That's what they have advertised, that they sell coffee on wholesale basis. It's a wholesale division.
A wholesale division for coffee?
For coffee, yes. Churchill Coffee Company. That's the name. That's the name.
Have you considered the fact that it may be a multi-purpose office? That whilst he's selling coffee, he's also running the Nehemiah Group?
We went round. The only thing we saw being done apart from coffee there is a gym, a small gym where you can go and keep fit. Yeah, that's all they do over there. Well, maybe he's stockpiling the coffee. When they finish you know, they say they'll build a biblical restaurant. Maybe he'll come and be serving coffee there when they finish with the cathedral project.
Now, that's an interesting way to look at it. But typically when you have addresses for office spaces, you can see maybe a billboard or some small signpost that shows that this is the Nehemiah Group's office too. You didn't see anything of that sort?
Nothing. That is why I took pictures standing by all the billboards there. What you see is Churchill, the Churchill Coffee Company, and then other businesses, other signposts in the area. There is no Nehemiah Group at all. So we are being deceived. Now, the third major observation, remember there are 7, so let me go through quickly. The third major observation is that I managed to secure the articles of incorporation, the incorporation documents, and the contents, very explosive. We now know for the first time that when they went to register the company in the United States of America, they changed the name. So in Ghana, it is called the National Cathedral of Ghana. In the United States of America, they changed the name. They used a different name. What they registered is National Cathedral of Ghana and Bible Museum Foundation Incorporated. Clear difference. Then we also note that the people who are the governors, Washington, D.C., they use the terminology governors, but it's really like directors. They are directors. The three names there, not even one of them is a reverend minister. It's a priest. As we have here in Ghana, where we have the board of trustees made up of various ministers of the gospel from the different denominations. What they did in America is that they totally ousted the priests, took all the reverend ministers out, and the three names there, Dr. Polopoku Mensah, Dr. Vernon Darko, and then Eric Ochre Darko. These are the three names. And in the other IRS documents I have obtained, these three are described as the beneficial owners. So they run the show. And you won't believe it, but the reverend ministers who serve on the board of trustees had always thought that they were part of the American operations, and that is an extension of their work. Now they know for the first time that they are not part of it. And you see, this confirms what Dr. Ward Mills said in his resignation letter. If you recall, Dr. Ward Mills said that he suspects that there is another group somewhere taking decisions and that their inputs don't matter. They are just being used to legitimize the process, but they are not listening to them. Clearly, what has happened in the United States of America confirms what Dr. Ward Mills said. So you have Eric Ochre Darko, you have Vernon Darko, and then you have Dr. Polopoku Mensah. Now, Eric Ochre Darko, when we decided to look into his background, we noticed that he's an immigration lawyer. He is an appointee of President Akufo-Addo. He was appointed to the board of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund and sworn in on the 12th of October 2021 by Finance Minister Kenneth Uriaka. For Dr. Vernon Darko, he is described as some exporter. They say it's a small-scale exporter based somewhere in Houston. Now, Eric Ochre Darko, I must add that he was part of Kennedy Japan's legal team in the recent Anas case. So that's the background of these people. And it is shocking that if you look at the reverend ministers who are serving on the board of trustees, these are reverend ministers very popular in the United States of America. Duncan Williams is always at the presidential breakfast in Washington, D.C. He has his church well established. Indeed, his daughter is the first lady of the church. His daughter is married to Dr. Kibi Otu, Bishop Dr. Kibi Otu, who is the head of the Action Chapel International in the United States of America. They have branches all over. They have registered branches all over, from Virginia to Maryland to Pennsylvania, New York, you name it. Dr. Ward Mills said many churches all over America, Eastwood Anaba, major footprints. Then you have all these Catholic Revs, Methodists. You know that these are well-established churches in the United States of America. And yet, none of them could qualify to be added. And you have people like Vernon Darko, you have people like Eric Ochre Darko, who nobody knows their locus because they are not part of the registered National Cathedral of Ghana. If you look at the incorporation documents in Ghana, the registration that took place on the 18th of July 2019, you don't see these names there. So the people who must be held accountable, the trustees, who have always thought that they are in charge, they go to register a branch in America and they are ousted. They are not part of this. So very, very shocking. And I can tell you that some of the members of the board have taken a very serious view of this revelation. And I'm sure in the coming days, there are going to be very interesting developments. Now, let me also move to the other revelations. This work has also revealed that the address of Carrie Summers, his personal address, where I went to in Missouri, it is the same address that Dr. Paul Opoku Mensah, the executive director of the National Cathedral of Ghana, is the same address he is using. So if you look at all the articles of incorporation, if you look at all the even filing returns to the IRS, the address that Dr. Paul Opoku Mensah uses is the same address as Carrie Summers' address.
The coffee warehouse?
The coffee warehouse, yes.
Oh, okay.
So this means that Dr. Paul Opoku Mensah, who is the executive director at the National Cathedral Secretariat, has known Carrie Summers for a long time. They use the same address. And he was using the same address before he handed out $6 million of our money, of our taxpayers' money, to Carrie Summers. I mean, can you believe that? Insider dealing, conflict of interest. How can the consultant for United States of America, and the executive director in Ghana, how can they be using the same address? Then the other revelation that has emerged is that few weeks after Carrie Summers was paid the $6 million, he bought a new house, a 4-bedroom house. And I have put out the address. And you know, America is a very open society. When you buy a house, you can't hide it. When you bought it, how much you bought it. It's all there. You can get that information. So I have described it as an interesting coincidence, very interesting coincidence, that around the same time that he receives this money from his friend who uses his same address, same personal address, he buys a new house. Only God knows who really owns that house. Was he buying the house for himself? For somebody else? And this whole episode, what is going on? Are people really using our money to build a temple for God, or they are using our money for other things, for money laundering, for other purposes? So many questions. And this is just the beginning. I've told you that this is just part one of a 5-part series. And if part one is just the beginning, you can imagine what is coming on Thursday.
It's interesting listening to you, but I don't know. But because I was wondering on the matter of the Eric Dako and Dr. Vernon Dako. I'm guessing the Dr. Vernon Dako is based in the US, but Eric Dako is not.
Eric Dako is also based in the US, but because he's an appointee of the president, I think he travels to Ghana often when he has board meetings with GIF. Because the address that he provided is his New York law chambers. That's what he told the U.S. authorities when they were registering the National Cathedral of Ghana and Bible Museum Foundation Incorporated.
Because because is it not, were they not perhaps picked because the law requires that you pick someone who is based in the U.S. who is easily traceable, they can hold accountable?
Very intelligent question. Very intelligent question. So that is what initially I also thought was a possibility. So I decided to look at the company laws, and I engaged lawyers who are registered to practice in Washington, D.C. Don't forget that I keep talking about my international partners. We couldn't have done all of this without engaging lawyers, engaging other, let me just say, a crack team. I don't want to expose my sources. Now, the law, as has been clearly explained to me, and evidence of which I have seen, it is not a requirement. When you can register a company and not be resident in Washington D.C. You can register from outside. So it is not a requirement, and that is why even with those three names, you see that Dr. Polopoku Mensah, he lives in Ghana. Nothing stopped them from including his name, even though he has been using Carrie Summers' address, which is quite shocking. There was no need. He probably thought that we won't find out that they are using the same address. So that clearly is an address that they do a lot of things with. And in the third episode, I'll be throwing more light on that address. A lot of things that have been done with that address, which will shock Ghanaians. But that is for the third episode, sometime next week. So the simple response to you is that, my brother, that is not a bar at all. It's not a requirement. You can be outside of the United States jurisdiction and still be registered. Nothing stops you. So they don't have an excuse. They can seek refuge under that. They can say, and that is why I said earlier, if you recall, and I did call for the evidence, and I have them. All of these top pastors I'm talking about, Archbishop Duncan Williams, he doesn't live in America, but he has registered churches there. Daki Ward Mills, Eastwood Anaba, so that cannot be a refuge they can go and hide under.
Okay, thank you very much for speaking to us this morning, and it seems there's a lot to digest, and we're waiting for, you said the next one will come out tomorrow.
Yes, we normally prefer 5 a.m.
Okay.
So that people can wake up to it. So 5 a.m. tomorrow will be part 2 in the 5-part series. Yes, and hopefully, if you have the opportunity, we can elaborate further tomorrow
okay.
After we put it on.
That'll be fantastic. That'll be fantastic. In the meantime, now that you are going unopposed, what do you do whilst others are campaigning?
We are campaigning. Remember that we are going to have the presidential and parliamentary election the same day.
Yes.
And I have declared full support for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. You know that. So we have targeted 100%, and so we are going round, and we're making sure that the people are well galvanized. And remember that even when you are going unopposed, you must still tell the people what you will be doing in your next term. What are your priority areas, and what is your manifesto to the people? What is your pledge to them? So as I go around campaigning for JM, I also do that. Let them know what I will be seeking to achieve in my next term. So please, we are all campaigning. This is not a holiday period at all.
Are you also helping out some of your friends? Because, for example, I know Honorable Sam George faces a stand contest in his constituency. I know Honorable Suhini is going unopposed. Mutala and others are going unopposed. But there are several others who still seem to be facing some contests and might need a lot of help.
Oh, we have a way of supporting each other, collaborating, and all of that. Except that sometimes you have to be careful. It's an internal family affair, so you also don't want it to look like you are declaring war against some other family members and all of that. Even though people must recognize and appreciate that we have friends, we have colleagues in the house, and all of that. So it's a delicate balance, because at the end of the day, we should be able to come together, as a family, so that even those who lose out will not feel done in and will come on board because it's about maximizing the votes. It's about winning, rescuing this country from the abyss that this MPP Galamsey cabal has put us through. So it is a lot of tact and wisdom that we are bringing to bear. But I can assure you that at the end of the day, it's a family affair, and we all have to emerge stronger.
And the EIU says you have a very good chance of winning the 2024 elections. That must sound like good news.
Oh yes, very good news, and we believe. We believe. We believe strongly. We believe strongly that we are going to win.
Honorable, thank you. Thank you.
Always welcome.
I wish you all the best. Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa staying on the line with us for a significant period of time. This conversation on his court case yesterday, and then the matter of what he's finding from his visit to the U.S. Very committed to this matter of ensuring that ensuring propriety in our attempt to build a National Cathedral. Don't forget, we've so far spent over 300 million Ghana cedis